All right, so another day, another Louis Vuitton inspiration, and this is going to be an inspiration of Louis Vuitton's imagination. And this is a brand new one that's just come out from the house of Luciano, and this is Luciano's Mystic Dream. All right, so I saw this one on fragrancebuy.ca, I believe it was, or no, it was Fragflex. And I went ahead and actually picked this one up since I saw that, this was like one of their newest releases. And I mean, Luciano, they definitely, in my opinion, they do a pretty good job, with these, inspirations of Louis Vuitton, fragrances. So this is going to be the presentation for Luciano Mystic Dream. This is pretty much, I believe, the same kind of presentation that you get with something like Sunset Swim and like Magnitude, where it's just pretty much like a plain white box pretty much. So you have Luciano Mystic Dream, it's Extrait de Parfum. Nothing on the top or the sides, and then on the back you've got Luciano and then like the ingredients. And on the bottom you've got the barcode. From what I know, I don't think any of these Luciano fragrances ever really have any sort of batch code written on them. I don't think I've really been able to find one. Definitely let me know in the comments, if that is incorrect, but at least on this box, I don't see any sort of, production date or anything like that. All right, and then the bottle is, pretty much the same as what you get with all of the other Luciano bottles. Definitely pretty similar to the Louis Vuitton, except, this is considerably taller pretty much than the Louis Vuitton. And yeah, man, obviously the cap, it is strong enough for you to pick the fragrance up by the cap, but the cap is not like a magnetic cap, like it is with the Louis Vuitton. All right. So, if you're not familiar with the notes, and I wasn't able to pull up the notes on my Chromebook for whatever reason. This thing is, I don't know what's going on with this thing right now, but I believe from memory, and I'll have a correction on screen if this is not correct, but I believe the top notes for Louis Vuitton's imagination are top notes of citron, bergamot, and mandarin orange, I believe. I think in the mid, it's neroli, like Tunisian neroli, Ceylon cinnamon, and some sort of ginger or whatnot. And then I believe in the base, it's going to be Chinese black tea, olibanum, and I can't remember the last note. But pretty much that's the note breakdown of imagination for the most part. And these two fragrances, they do definitely smell pretty similar. Now, this is just going to be like a sort of first impressions video that, I'm going to be doing here today for Luciano's Mystic Dream. So I'm not going to be talking about performance really at all when it comes to how that, compares to the Louis Vuitton. I'll do that in a later video at a later date. But pretty much what I'm getting from Mystic Dream when compared to, Imagination is the Mystic Dream, in my opinion, it's coming off as slightly sweeter than Imagination is. And also, this is not as watery, in my opinion, as what Imagination is. So if you like the watery sort of aspect of Imagination, then I think, this might not necessarily do it for you. They do definitely smell really, really similar though. Now, also the neroli in Imagination, in my opinion anyway, is definitely higher quality smelling. For sure. But I mean, not really by that much, to be honest. Definitely as the two start to dry down, I will say that they definitely are getting closer and closer to each other. But there is a difference for sure. So again, I would say that the Mystic Dream is going to be a little bit less watery. The neroli is not going to be, as as top tier as what it is in the imagination. But also, to me, I'm getting a little bit more of that sort of mandarin citrus from the Mystic Dream than what I'm getting from imagination. So imagination, to me, the main citrus that you get from imagination is like that citron note. It's like a really kind of bitter, tart, sort of, lemon sort of citrus pretty much. That's the main thing really that I get from this fragrance. Whereas with the Mystic Dream, that it has sort of like a sweeter sort of edge to it. And I mean, while you can still sort of smell the citron in this one as well, the Mystic Dream just has a slightly sort of sweeter edge to it. And like I said, it smells a little bit heavier on mandarin orange, in my opinion. All right. It doesn't completely change the scent at all. Again, I would say this one is still going to be probably like around that 85 to almost 90% close range, pretty much to, imagination. But there are definitely, some differences for sure. Now, if you were to smell these two on like a tester strip, these actually smell much closer to each other than what they really actually are. You really need to smell these two side by side on skin if you're comparing, which one is closer to the other. Because I think if you smell these two on like a tester strip, you're gonna think, wow, these two are like at least probably 95% close. I don't really think that they are that close to each other. Like I said, they're definitely, at least to me, about 85% close pretty much to each other. Which is still pretty good, for a clone. I think I paid about, I don't know, I think it was less than $40 for the Lucianno. Whereas, again, this one is going to be $320. All right. Now, again, as far as, performance goes, I'm not really going to speak much on that. What I will say is the Lucianno Mystic Dream does seem to have a little bit better projection than what the Louis Vuitton does, surprisingly. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just because the Louis Vuitton, again, that one has a little bit more of a watery sort of feel to it, whereas the Mystic Dream, to me, especially since it's a little bit sweeter, it has a slightly more denser sort of, smell and feel to it. So that's why this one is coming off as, being a little bit stronger. Now, for longevity, only time will tell with that. Again, I'll address that in a later video. But so far, I'm pleasantly surprised by this inspiration of imagination, for sure. This is definitely pretty close. And I would say that, anyone who, this is just completely out of their price range, I think that they will be pretty happy, with this fragrance, as sort of like a substitute or an alternative pretty much to imagination, for sure. The quality on it is still definitely pretty high, for sure. As is, most of the Lucianno fragrances that I've smelled so far. When you first spray this on, you are going to get a slight sort of, alcohol blast. I would say it probably lasts I don't know, 15 to 20 seconds or so. And then that's, pretty much when this one is able to kind of settle down. But I mean, other than that, the quality is pretty good when compared to, the Louis Vuitton, pretty much. So that is my sort of initial take on this fragrance. Again, so far, I think this one is about 85% close pretty much to the original. And I mean, just as an overall rating, like an initial sort of overall rating, I think this one definitely is at least about an 8.5 out of 10 pretty much. For the price, And for how much you get with this, I believe this is a 100 ml. Yeah, so this is 100 ml. You can get it for about $30 to $40 pretty much. And, you know, it's about 85% close, just kind of with a slight sort of twist on how the citruses smell. This is definitely worth it, in my opinion, for sure. Will I rate this above something like Essence de Blanc or Alexandria's Visionary or even like Chorus Blue Spice? I wouldn't necessarily say that. I would say, you know, definitely Visionary is still going to be probably the top one in my opinion. Then after that, I would have to probably say Essence de Blanc. And then, I mean, I would say between Chorus Blue Spice and this one, even though to me Chorus Blue Spice is a little bit more accurate, at least, you know, within like the sort of opening to mid, I would kind of say that this is still going to be about on the same level pretty much as that one. So I would kind of, you know, put those two together, you know, in their own sort of space. And then any other inspirations pretty much after that, you know, I would kind of, you know, put lower pretty much. But this one, yeah, man, this is a very, very good inspiration for sure. So definitely check this one out. I'll have links to where you can pick this one up. Again, I picked this one up from flagflex.com. And so definitely let me know in the comments if you all have actually picked this one up. And if you have, what do you all think about Mystic Dream from Lucianno? How close do you think it comes to the original, you know, Imagination? And, you know, definitely let me know if you all are enjoying this one or not. All right. So, again, if you're brand new to the channel, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe. And again, that's Jamar from Vegas Sense. I'll see you on the next video.